So we've now covered planes and we've covered trains. I'd like to get to automobiles. So Mayor Fulop, you have criticized New Jersey's lawsuit against New York City's congestion pricing plan, and you have proposed a potential New Jersey-based congestion pricing plan of your own. I mean, what do you say to a voter who is concerned about the amount of money that it costs to get into New York City and doesn't think that more tolls on this end of the river will do anything to help them?
Yeah, so let me start by saying that I have the most comprehensive plan around transportation. I started the largest microtransit system in the country in Jersey City. We've been extensive on complete streets, on Vision Zero, the first in the state, New Jersey. It is the reason that the Philadelphia Inquirer endorsed me, the most northern candidate they endorsed for South Jersey, largely because of our transportation plan. Congestion pricing, what I say about it is something that Jack Ciattarelli actually took from me because it is a good idea. He talks about reverse congestion pricing to put New York back at the table.
Brag about that.
The reality of the situation is that you need to create leverage to create a regional transportation system because this back and forth between New York is not healthy for anybody. And the truth is that you need to think of it more broadly. It is the reason that congestion pricing has been successful up till now. If you look at mass transit times, if you look at the environment, and I think that there's a route here ultimately to improve this. I want to say one other thing. We have plate readers on every entry and exit into Jersey City because the technology today allows you to exempt whoever. If you want to exempt a person with purple hair with the driver's license G starting,
Steve Sweeney's
you can do
next.
that.
Josh Gottheimer, Mikey
honestly,
Sherrill.
reverse congestion pricing is the dumbest thing I ever heard of ever, to be honest with you.
No.
With all due respect.
Amen.
Because what's going to happen is
I gotta respond.
now you're getting that. Yeah, I want you to respond and explain why it's okay to tax people both ways. Congestion pricing is wrong. We should be fighting it. We're in New Jersey. Our people that are driving to New York are paying that penalty. More people go into New York than out of New York. So, Steve, when you say we're going to do reverse congestion pricing, you're not exempting. You can't. It's interstate commerce. You cannot exclude. You cannot exclude New Jersey drivers if you charge in a tax. Whoever did your policy, didn't do the research.
Okay, wait, Josh Gottheimer, hold on for a second. Let him respond.
Let me say this. You absolutely can exclude people on it. It is the same. Yes, you can. It is the same thing that I suggest that Jack Ciattarelli took from me because the goal of it is creating leverage because you need a regional transportation system. And at the end of the day, it is the most viable solution to get there.
Josh Gottheimer, you're next. Mikey Sherrill, Rosborough.
Thank you. As the person who's been leading the fight against the congestion tax now for more than 5 years, let me tell you this. People are getting crushed in Jersey, Steve. It's $18 to go over the bridge or through the tunnels. Then you're going to hit them with another $9 a day. That's $4,000 a year. People who are nurses, teachers, cops, firefighters can't afford this. We're killing people. And New York just sticks it to us like they always do. And we should be fighting back against them every single day when they do that. Secondly, the MTA. They admitted in their own reports, and I encourage you to read them, that this will lead to more pollution in northern New Jersey, not less pollution. So you're killing our kids with more asthma. You're killing people in their pocketbooks. We have to fight this every step of the way. We're doing it in the courts. We're going to win. You got the administration now deciding to come on board to help fight it, which I welcome. And obviously Governor Murphy is. We got to fight this thing every single day. People are getting crushed, middle-class families. We can't hit them with yet another tax.
Mikey Sherrill, Rosborough.
Thank you.
As governor of New Jersey, you simply can't be for a congestion price that takes money out of the pockets of New Jerseyans and funds New York infrastructure and transportation, especially given the need we have here for our own transportation infrastructure in New Jersey. It just doesn't make any sense.
Rosborough.
But before we go on, can we just make a deal not to mention Jack Ciattarelli's name at this debate? But I do want to say that's pretty funny. I do want to say that.
But it's true.
I think that honestly, that the idea is a little mean-spirited, right? A little vindictive, and I think ultimately the MTA did call Newark. They did call us. We were supposed to have a meeting with them before Murphy joined with Donald Trump. I don't know why that happened, but they called us and said that they would give us a specific amount of money to deal with the particulate matter in the air that would be created because of congestion pricing. Now, I didn't have an opportunity to have a discussion with them in full, but they did say that to me in specific. Finally, I think if we really focus on mass transit, then we don't have to have this discussion about congestion pricing. New York and New Jersey could get together. I know we like bickering and fighting. If we actually sat in a room and figured out how to expand transit in New York and New Jersey, we could figure this problem out without saying, you know, I'm bigger than you, I'm badder than you, I'm better than you. I breathe fire, I eat trees.
So Mayor Park, I've got a quick follow-up for you on that, which is, you know, you want to get in a room with New York, you want to hash this out. Would you seek to continue New Jersey's current lawsuit against New York? Or do you think that would, you know, pose
Absolutely,
well?
as leverage, for sure. I think ultimately the objective is to get us in the room, to talk about how to raise dollars for MTA and New Jersey Transit, how to figure out how our Turnpike Authority and everybody else that are part of our transportation infrastructure here and the transportation infrastructure in New York can figure out how to expand mass transit, right? How do we do this together? How do we use Port Authority as a part of that as well and not take each other to court and fight each other about whose tolls are the biggest and whose tolls are the most expensive? I think it's ridiculous and silly.
Joey, can I respond since the focal point was me, which I like actually, okay? Let me say that that's a good sign. That's a good sign. But the reality of the conversation is that the lawsuit has not worked. And when there was an opportunity to get $150 million at the end of the process, we squandered that. And had you had that $150 million into the system, maybe you wouldn't have had a strike. Every mass transit advocate, every environmental advocate, every health advocate says that I am on the right side of this issue. And I get it, the politics of it. We could all test the polling and say the sound bites, but the technology allows you to exempt whoever you want. And New Jersey people would not be taxed twice for obvious reasons.
I'm sorry, that is not
accurate.
true.
It is accurate.
It's not true.
It's not true.
Listen, I know
Steve Sweeney,
people,
then Josh Gottheimer.
I know some
Again,
people will
45.
say things on the stage that are not true.
It
This is
true.
absolutely not true.
Okay.
It's interstate commerce. Look it up. It's interstate commerce. But most importantly, the only way we're going to get leverage with New York, honestly, is when you deal with a bully, you punch them right in the nose and they pay attention. That's how you deal with a bully. New York is bullying New Jersey, abusing our citizens that are driving. You know, by the way, what we should be doing is going to these New York companies, finding out, we got their tax information, saying, why don't you come to New Jersey? Why don't you come here? We'll do the incentives to bring your businesses into New Jersey. So, like I said, you can say a lot of things. Interstate commerce is really clear. You can't tax some and not others.
Wholeheartedly
Of-
disagree.
Just for facts, of the $150 million, they offered us under $10 million. So they're sticking their hands in our pockets for $1 billion a year in New York. Not a nickel except $8 million is actually going to go to Jersey for our families. It's ridiculous to keep ripping us off. And the bottom line is we should say to Port Authority, we've had this cooperative relationship for 100 plus years together. Why aren't we actually continuing to work together? New York just can't stick it to our families, crush our middle class families when they want to give us a few crumbs to deal with pollution and to deal with what people are dealing with. That's totally wrong. And by the way, I think Steve's right. We're going to get more jobs here. We should fight every day to bring more jobs here. New York rips us off every day. It's time to stick it to them, fight them, and we should fight them. And this is the case one of where we should fight them.
We can disagree. Look,
15
we can
seconds.
disagree. We can disagree. But the reality is that I have more endorsements from transit-oriented unions than anybody up here.
What's
I have,
that
wait a
lie
second.
about
Wait a
facts?
second. Wait a second.
What does that mean?
We said earlier that the entire South Jersey Philly Inquirer was based on my transportation ideas and suggestions. You were saying up here we could disagree on what's true and what's not true, but there are independent qualifiers in this conversation.
I got to answer to that.
No.
There's
15
nothing in
seconds,
your
and then
plan.
we're going back to
There's
Joey.
nothing in
Of
your
course
plan to address transportation in South Jersey.
Of course there is.
You might have put light rail in recently.
No,
when
from
I
day
look
one.
at your no, Steve, I read your plan. You said
Steve.
read my plan. I read it.
Steve.
There was nothing for South Jersey.
Steve.
Okay, and on that